starting with the grand proposal of David to Georgia from both their perspectives. David showed a grand gesture of his affection by proposing to Georgia on her graduation day. What he thought was happy crying turned out to be a cry of embarrassment by Georgia. However, they got married and Georgia got pregnant with their daughter, Lily, shortly after. The marriage sadly lasted only 5 years, with the two of them not even wanting to be in the same time zone as each other anymore. 25 years later, now their daughter is graduating, and their call to her is to not so discreetly ask if the two of them are sitting together. Lily tells them they aren't sitting together, which is a lie that will be revealed to them once they reach the auditorium. The two of them get into a banter right away, instead of even greeting each other, and it's a surprise their voices didn't get loud enough to disrupt the ceremony. Even when seeing Lily for her graduation trip to Bali, they argue about Lily working on the plane or getting a tan as if she didn't handle herself all these years. Not to forget a hungover Ren, hearing all those voices as an amplified argument. The trip to Bali is going amazing when the two of them go for a swim in a boat. But the boat, people forget them in the water. The shore is miles away, so they start swimming. But of course, the two of them would like to question how Ren loves Lily like a sister if she hates her sister. Ren utilizes the very free energy and time she has to explain how she loves her like an ideal sisterly love is. In a few minutes, a boat is seen passing by there, so they call out for help. Lily gets on the boat first and starts having a moment with the hot boat guy, Getty, while poor Ren is still floating in the water being long forgotten about. Later that night, the partying and talking between Getty and Lily lead to them kissing. The next day, Lily wakes up where Getty lives and is mesmerized by the view, as well as by the seaweed farming that Getty is currently doing. Hearing him talk so politely about working with and in the sea makes her feel like she doesn't have a balance in her life, while simultaneously attracting her to Getty even more. The parents are in their usual lives when they receive a mail from Lily, which makes them book a flight to Bali right away. On the plane, a few funny characters seem to be missing when Georgia and David get their third seamate, a woman, Beth Ann, who likes to befriend her plane mates just in case the plane crashes. The two of them are arguing while telling the woman in the middle about how their daughter emailed them that she is going to get married in 5 days. The argument heats when the pilot comes to them to surprise Georgia. Paul is her boyfriend who surprised her by flying the plane to Bali to spend time with her. They get a little too lovey-dovey, making David cringe about them. Later on, Paul is spending time with Georgia, which is a question since he was supposed to fly the plane to Bali. But he doesn't seem to be doing the flying for her. The plane jolts a little, making Paul tell Georgia and David that it's just turbulence. However, the turbulence seems to be lasting a little too long, making everyone worried and scared, and making the two of them hear everything about Beth Ann. While reaching up to Lily, they decide they are going to pretend to be perfectly fine with Lily's decision, while secretly trying to make them realize it is a bad one. Lily greets them and is surprised when they are happy with her decision. She even mentions that they don't have to do the Trojan horse thing by pretending to be fine and attacking secretly. They deny doing any such thing while doing exactly that. Since the flight made the two of them late, they were just on time for the engagement party and had to travel directly there via a route through the forest. The van drops them midway to the party where Getty comes up to meet them on a bike. He takes Georgia with her, but David seems to be thinking Getty would be a nice person if he drops Georgia. At the party, which is supposed to be just close family, we get to see a huge crowd that is Getty's close family. Getty's dad greets David in an enthusiastic hug and doesn't leave for a while. After finally letting go, he traumatizes David by telling him to take out his knife, since they are going to cut their hands and merge their blood to establish a family relationship. David is confused and scared, while Getty's dad bursts out laughing at the joke. Georgia is welcomed by Suli, Getty's mother, and by Losi, Getty's sister. Losi is the unofficial translator for the family. David and Getty are having a conversation about seaweed when David casually drops in the topic of Lily being career-driven and devoted like Georgia, and she might get bored of the place and people she currently loves and leave. As the engagement ceremony starts, Getty's parents announce that the dates have been announced with the blessings of their elders. Meanwhile, Georgia and David are still plotting about it. Getty is a little disturbed by David's words, but decides to keep them from Lily. At night, the two conveniently get adjacent rooms and go to sleep after mocking David's loud snoring and Georgia's sleep karate. Not being able to sleep, David goes out for some drinks when Ren walks up to him and asks about the couple's story. David tells Wren that they used to bike to Lakeside when they were dating, and he wanted them to live there one day. Georgia told him that they shouldn't save the good things for later, so they bought the house. While the house was in completion and he got busy paying off debts, the two of them drifted apart slowly. David wanted the house to be complete faster in hopes that their moving there would improve things between them. But tragedy struck him when the house burned down one night. A few weeks later, their marriage broke up. The next day, Georgia is talking to Paul when David comes up to her, asking her to steal the rings, which will mess up the whole right place, right time scenario, built by Getty's family. The little girl, Ketut, is the ring bearer, and David leaves the hard, risky job for Georgia. Georgia uses a crazy trick by luring the kids and telling them Americans slice the banana before they peel it. She smoothly sliced the banana and covered the peel back up, so that when Ketut showed the great magic to others, Georgia discreetly stole the rings. The ring exchange ceremony turns into a worry, but Getty realizes soon enough that Lily's parents are the culprits. Georgia realizes he knows when he doesn't answer her properly about their visit to see the dolphins. Everyone jumps in the water excitedly and mocks David about being scared for not getting into the water. David gets heated up and jumps in the water, but the smiley, friendly dolphins don't seem to be a fan of him, as one of them grazes David's foot. Getty throws a discreet mock towards David before leaving to get help, making him realize he indeed knows. In the evening, Lily shows gratitude to Georgia for being okay with it. Georgia seems to be becoming okay with the two of them marrying, while David and Getty get into an argument where Getty tells him he might lose his daughter if she gets to know her parents are finally getting along, but only to mess up her wedding. At night, Georgia and David get into a heated argument by accusing each other of the divorce. The next day, Lily makes the two of them pick out seaweed in the water, which results in a fun competition between the two. Later, Getty gets his canine filed down as a tradition to keep qualities of unhealthy marriage away from them. At night, Getty, Lily, her parents, and Wren get some traditional Bali drinks, which leads them into a match of beer pong. Lily seems to be wanting the ground to swallow her, seeing her parents act childish with their absurd dance moves. Getty seems to be sticking to the rules of the game, drinking till he pukes. Drunk Georgia and David's party a little too hard to be waking up in the same room the next day. They are sure no alcohol in the world could make them do something extreme, so David is naked because he went skinny dipping inside the pool. Things get chaotic when Paul surprises Georgia. The two of them manage to save the situation. Later, when David forces everyone to visit a temple at Tana Lot, known to be cursed for the unmarrieds, Getty realizes his schemes, and Lily simply tells him they can leave just because Getty thinks the curses are true. It is the absurdity of Paul to propose Georgia in the cursed temple. Georgia confesses sleeping in the same room as David, but Paul had already realized it seeing David in yoga pants. The conversation gets disrupted when Paul gets bitten by a snake. When they are in the hospital, Lily doesn't show fondness for the idea of Georgia marrying Paul, because she doesn't see Georgia being her best self around Paul. Paul responds from behind the curtain about how those things don't make the area soundproof. Later, Lily, Getty, and David go to an island where Georgia follows, because she realizes she doesn't want to sabotage their wedding anymore. She has realized Lily is mature enough to stand by her decisions. However, David didn't tie the boat to a heavy enough log, making the log as well as the boat drift away from the island. The four decide to spend the night in the forest when Lily finds the lost rings in Georgia's bag. She confronts her parents for trying to sabotage her wedding and leaves in anger. She is also mad at Getty but understands that he doesn't want Lily to be hurt by her parents. The next day, they get back and Lily tells her parents that they are free to either join the wedding or leave. Paul proposes to Georgia once again, and this time he headbutts her by accident. Even though Georgia has already apologized to Lily, Getty stops the ceremony in the middle, asking for her parents' approval or they won't get married. A plan he should have gone through with Lily first. Thankfully, David also gives them their blessing. Later, Georgia and David have a conversation about everything when David tells her to accept Paul's proposal if he makes her half as happy as when they were initially together. Georgia rejects Paul, but he understands. As David and Georgia sit on the boat to leave for the airport, David mentions wanting to come back and live here sometime. Georgia takes a moment before telling him why to save the good for later. With that, the two of them jump into the water laughing and giving themselves a happy, long-due reconciliation.